Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here, and this is the Newberry Reference Bible, the Newberry Reference Bible. And I remember years ago, the folks at Sword of the Lord, which we had a lot of interaction, even though I'm Pentecostal, with Sword of the Lord. My wife worked with people there and stuff. Long story, but anyhow, both fundamentalists in a lot of ways. And they really liked the Newberry Reference Bible. As a matter of fact, in the old Sword of the Lord magazine, which I think is still out there, Shelton Smith, they would have an advertisement for the Newberry. And I wasn't sure why. I asked around some, and somebody told me it was because of his views on Revelation. I think they had like a millennial view of Revelation, or amillennial. There was something unique about Revelation. So I went and got it. And so here's the Authorized King James Version, arranged in paragraph with signs pointing out the perfection, beauty, and treasures of the Hebrew and Greek text by Thomas Newberry. Now, Thomas Newberry himself, he was what was known as an open brethren, as opposed to an exclusive brethren. And open brethren, I think there's about 26,000 congregations in the world today. And they come out of the 19th century, the Brethren movement, like the Plymouth Brethren. That was just a huge, huge movement. And it still is. I think like Christian Missionary Alliance came out of that. Okay, so an introduction to the English Hebrew Testament. English Hebrew Testament. Okay, the authorized version, unaltered in the text, but arranged in paragraphs with analysis in the margin, which I personally, a lot of times, just for reading, not exclusively, but for reading, a lot of times I do like a paragraphed Bible. Okay. Leading words printed in capitals and emphatic pronouns in small capitals. Poetical portions arranged on a new plan taken from Hebrew. I was reading a thing F.F. Bruce wrote about Thomas Newberry, and it said that he had spent many years with the Sinaiticus and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, well, whatever that is. Okay, which I know what the Sinaiticus is. I've done many videos on the Sinaiticus, which I would say it's a modern forgery. But be that as it may, he didn't know that in the 1800s. He lived from like 1811 to 1901, so he was around 90 when he passed. Okay, words imperfectly translated, amended, which I would say there was none imperfectly translated. Words differently translated, made uniform. Divine titles distinguished and explained. That would be a useful feature in itself, an advantage sufficient to characterize the work. Significant proper names interpreted, which I enjoy that. Like Jackson's proper names, that's really what I consider. Judson Cornwall and a man by the name of Jackson have the definitive works on biblical proper names and their meanings, which have a lot of significance. Important words traced to their Hebrew roots, leading the attentive reader on almost imperceptibly into an acquaintance with the elements of the Hebrew language. Hebrew and Chaldee tenses marked by simple uniform signs. So he goes on how to explain this, and this is the introduction. So this is what it's going to look like once you actually get in there. It's going to look similar in some ways to the Companion Bible by Bullinger. And you're going to see the side references. So, he's going to try to bring out treasures in Hebrew and Greek, give proper what the divine names and titles mean, and correct what he feels as errors in the King James, which I would feel there are no errors in the King James. I wouldn't just feel that way. I would, by study, know that for a fact, and God's promises for preservation. So that's what it's going to look like. So this would have been printed in the 1860s, if I'm not mistaken. It does not have the Apocrypha. That's good. It's obviously not going to have a red letter, since a red letter was not introduced into the Bible till 1898 by Louis Klopsch, with the help of T. DeWitt Talmage. So it's going to have some diagrams. It's giving you kind of an introduction to the New Testament in Greek right here. So that's kind of neat. I may have moved that away from Brother Mallory too quickly. I apologize for that. Just to let you see what the New Testament looks like. You can see it looks like there's quite a bit more references in the New Testament in the side column. And it looks for all the world that this is put out like a facsimile. Now, this was done by Kregel Publications. Kregel's wonderful people. Brother Ernie Jolly had a great relationship with the Bakers and the Kregels, and probably Pat Zondervan, all up in Grand Rapids. That's Christian Publishers Row. You know, Baker, we've met Mr. Baker, and his dad started during the Depression selling books out of the trunk of his car, and has turned it into a massive, monumental publishing empire, and one of the greatest Christian bookstores, and the largest used Christian bookstore to our knowledge in the United States of America. So this is kind of neat. Aids to Bible study, lifestyle of Jews, Jewish idolatry. Whoa. Boy, you don't see that much. But the Jews, you know, Stephen, he's preaching, he kind of intimated their idolatry was the temple instead of the God of the temple. There in Acts chapter 7. I thought that was fascinating. I don't think that's the point he's making here. But Thomas Newberry, an open brethren, and writing all of this, Aids to Bible Study, other versions. He actually goes into Miles, Coverdale, Matthew's Bible, Cranmer's, or the Great Bible, the Canon, the Old Testament Canon, Revelation and Inspiration, original languages, and names and titles of the Bible. See, that's useful information. Historical origin, varied structure, and then a concordance. And I'm going to tell you, in the 1860s, to get a concordance, that was a tough thing, because you had to do it all by hand. I saw a concordance from 1611, if I remember correctly, and the owner of it, he was a man that was a Bible collector in McDonough, Georgia, and he said it was basically a King James concordance from that age. And it does say it's got maps. Let's see what the maps are. Now, these are obviously modern maps. Wow, Kregel did a great job. Kregel actually took the nation of Israel through water on the way out. May not have been the Red Sea, but it's through a good heap of water there anyhow. Maybe the Reed Sea. I've never seen these Bible maps before. Those are beautiful. I'd like to study those more in depth. I really enjoy looking at Bible maps. I've learned a lot. In text maps, I learn a lot as well. So the Newberry Reference Bible, it's going to be about 9.5 inches high, which is about mid-size for a Bible. I'll just tell you, it feels good in my hand. And it's going to be about 6.5 inches, just slightly under 6.5 inches wide. And then the depth is going to be, a little over 1.5 inches. Just a good feeling Bible. I'll show you how it compares to my large print Cambridge text only. I'm going to guess it's going to be very similar. Yeah, the Cambridge is just a little smaller. It's like 8 3/4 by 6. Or maybe 6 1/4. Probably very similar in width. So the print size, to me, it's a little difficult to read just because it's paragraphed. It's kind of all jumbled together. It's probably 8-point print. And then on the sides, it's less than that. So the Newberry Reference Bible, it's like a niche Bible. A lot of people really enjoy it. Has maybe some doctrinal peculiarities. I like the paragraph feature. I would not like the updating of the King James. But here you are. God bless. Talk with you later.